Saints defense, led by Vaughn Johnson, who had 13 tackles, and Rickey Jackson, who had 3 sacks, held the Niners to just 1 touchdown on the day. Reginald Jones also had one of the Saints' 6 total sacks. It was a typical Saints 49ers head basher. Down to the last seconds, the score tied 13-13. The Saints offense got Mort Anderson in position for a 49-yard field goal to win the game. The tables had turned. The Saints had done it to the 49ers. 16-13 the final score. The Saints are 4-0, and that is cause for dancing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Tell you what, a lot of happy fans out here tonight. You know what? I'm just glad that Jim Mora survived that bear hug by owner Tom Benson. Benson nearly choked him in the excitement, but boy, what excitement there was after Sunday's last-second win over the Niners. Not much more for me to say. Let's hear it from the coach. Here he is, folks, Jim Mora. Standing ovation of the year.
I know
so
that.
Far.
That's great.
And I tell you what, it's for the 4-0 Saints. No other team in the NFL is 4-0 at this point, Jim. Saints got there by beating the 49ers in a very tough game.
Very tough, as all of our games normally have been with the 49ers in recent years. And this one, and there's been so many times where they've done what we've done to them. They've found a way to win at the end, and yesterday we did. So it was a great win.
Yeah, it's got to be encouraging to do that. We will take a look more in depth at the game action when we come back. We've got to take our first break. We'll also hear what the 49ers had to say after the game. Stay tuned.
Coming up, the coach reveals the turning point and hear the other side's opinion of our New Orleans Saints.
Back on the Jim Mora Show. It's time to look at more of Sunday's Saints 49ers action. Jim, the first half we'll look at first. Makes sense.
Good idea.
The Saints defense really playing well. Our first shot will be John Taylor making a catch, but then Vaughn Johnson making a big play on him.
Right. You're going to see it here in a minute. We had good pressure on Young by Rickey, and he has to scramble out of the pocket, and he hits Taylor over the middle. But Vaughn's going to come up here and strip the ball loose right there.
Yep.
And Torrey Cook's going to try to pick it up, and he's not going to quite get it. But he falls on it for the recovery, and we end up getting a 3 points.
Right, it was a field goal there. 6 sacks on Steve Young, and that one by Reginald Jones.
Yeah, that's unusual for a cornerback to get a sack, but we've been doing a little bit more of that lately, and Reggie made a nice play.
Later on, the Saints would score it. Derek Brown, the touchdown. It was 10-0 Saints. Now later, the 49ers were driving again, Jim, but Keith Taylor ended this drive.
Right, this was right before the half, and they were moving the ball, and Keith came up with a big interception, got us good field position, but we didn't get anything out of it, which
right.
I thought we would, but we didn't.
It was 10-3 at the half at that point. To the second half now, and it got tighter. The 49ers came out, and they tied the game when Mark Logan broke off a nice run.
Right, they took their opening drive with the second half and drove right down the field for a touchdown. This is a 23-yard run by Mark Logan. They just caught us in the right defense for them, the wrong defense for us. They had the right play called, and it was a good execution on their part.
Now later, Morton Anderson got a field goal. This one made it 13-10 Saints, and you guys had the lead and still playing good defense at this point, Jim. Rickey Jackson will get in and sack Steve Young.
Well, Rickey had a great game yesterday, and this was one of his real good plays, one of his 3 sacks that he had on Young.
Now, late in the game, Young went to Jerry Rice. The 49ers would get a field goal out of this drive, not a touchdown, a field goal. That was key. It tied the game at 13. Then the Saints drive in the last minute.
Well, with a minute to go, we got the ball, and we had a great 2-minute drive. This was the final play of the drive, and Eric made a nice catch, got a few extra yards up to the 32, and then, of course,
Morton Anderson.
Right, Morton came in and kicked a 49-yarder right down the pike.
Yeah, that's not a short kick either. He had to hit
there
that.
it is, yeah.
That was it. 16-13 Saints, the final in that one. And now to the turning point, Jim. You thought it was in the fourth quarter and once again turned in by the defense.
Right. Yeah, you know, there were some key plays in that fourth quarter, both offensively and defensively in the kicking game, but I felt like the defense's ability to stop them from scoring and making them settle for a touchdown, for a field goal, gave our offense an opportunity to go down and kick the field goal to win it. So I think the turning point was the fact that our defense made them settle for a field goal there on their last drive.
Now, some of the Saints players in the locker room afterwards said, now the Saints are the team to beat in the NFC West. With a 2-game lead at that point, it's true. But let's go to the other side now, the 49ers locker room, and hear what they had to say about it.
I think New Orleans certainly has an outstanding defense and, you know, an opportunistic offense. And you get into a game where it's close. At the end of a game, when you have the field goal kicking that New Orleans has now and has had over the years, it's a very ominous situation.
It's a great defense. They've always been a great defense. I think that, in my mind, they're no different than they've always been. Very sound and solid.
They're very physical, and it's hard to win down here in this dome.
I think they've just got the total package now, and I think to go along with that great defense, the offense is really pulling this end of the bargain now.
They look good. They look real good. I mean, I've been a New Orleans native all my life, and they look real good this year.
All right, we'll take another break right now, but come on back, will you? We'll go to the Grand Casino and take our first fan questions for Jim Mora. We'll be back.
When we return, we'll visit fans in the stands as the Jim Mora Show presents Hey Coach.
Welcome back to the show, the Jim Mora Show. As they do every week, Ron Swoboda and Rich Marty have gone to the beach, to Gulfport, Mississippi, in the Grand Casino, a hotbed of Saints fans down there. Let's join them now. Ron, Rich, lots of elements to discuss in this game.
Good afternoon. There it is. They're supposed to be singing Chances Are. We've changed that theme
We're going to
song.
rehearse them later on. Of course, we're back at the Grand Casino with all the winners here behind us. They bet on the Saints with the perennially young former Saint, Rich Marty. And Rich, let's look at this game now. The offense did a good job of keeping this one a close game early on. How do you figure all of the drops early on by guys who can catch the football?
Well, you know, it's a big game. I don't know that you can focus too much on the fact that Eric dropped a couple of balls. I think Hobie, my Hobie even dropped the ball. Very big game. I think a long week. You know, I think these guys were a little bit tired, and it was indicative in the second half when they came out, Ron. Little tired, a little sluggish, gave San Francisco a chance to get back in. San Francisco's a very, very good team, though, and you've got to give them credit. But the Saints did the thing that they've done in 3 weeks prior. They bent, but they did not break, and that's championship football.
Well, that's what I liked, especially Eric Martin when they were in that drive for the final field goal that would win it. Who's the guy he goes to twice? He goes to Eric Martin, but it starts off with a nifty little shuttle pass to Dalton Hilliard. He gets the veteran in there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish I had my sweatband again, because that was a dangerous play, and I give credit for whoever called that play. They caught him a little bit by surprise and pick up a few yards. Wade Wilson playing with tremendous confidence, and anything they want to try to do, I think they'll be successful at.
Well, this was great. I think the throw to Martin here was impressive, too, because, look, he's inbounds. If he's knocked out here, he's in trouble. They're 4 yards further away. He stops the clock, goes out of bounds. Morton was great. He said, all I said to Wilson was, get me within range. He said okay, I said okay, and everything was okay.
That's all you need. Great player, and you know, you go back to a guy like Eric Martin, who's a great player, who's responding in those situations. You got to give credit to that whole offense and the defense.
Thrill a minute, and they did it again. Saints are 4-0, and we're having fun here. We'll be back to the Grand Casino.
Chances are.
Thanks, Ron and Rich. We will see you later. Time now for Hey Coach. Our roaming cameras will give Saints fans at the Dome and around town a chance to ask Jim Mora a question. And let's get our first one right now.
Hey, Coach. Hey, this is Bernard Turner from New Orleans East. Why not try and run the reverse once in a while?
Well, Bernard, we have got the reverse in our plan. We've had it in our plan just about every week this year. We just haven't found the right opportunity where we thought it would work. So, but you'll see it at some point this season.
Let's get our next question.
Hi, Coach Mora. Do they have a special diet and a special doctor for Wade Wilson being a diabetic?
Well, he has a diet that I know he prescribes to. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's very aware of his situation and handles his diabetic situation the way that he knows how, and I'm sure he's had a lot of advice from the medical staff as to what he's supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do, and he does a good job of handling it. He's got it under control.
And we've got one more question, Jim.
Hey, Coach, what did you say to the players at halftime?
I don't say much to him at halftime. Most of the halftime work is done by the assistant coaches going over the what happened in the first half, what adjustments have to be made in the second half, what we have to do. And the half times are only 12 minutes now, so you don't have a lot of time. I usually just try to say something to him that I think's pertinent right before we come out. I don't even know what I said to him this last week. I don't remember. Something like, hey, we got to win it here in the second half. Got to play good for 30 minutes. You know, something really
right.
Major.
Mostly, I guess, it's strategy talk instead of pep talk.
Oh, yeah. Most of it is all strategy and adjustments, and any mistakes that we made or something we didn't handle real well in the first half, we try to go over and that type of thing.
Well, that'll do it for Hey Coach. Jim, you can take a break now, but, well, we'll get you with more questions later on. It's time now, though, for Coach's Handbook, where Brian Grenrud visits with Saints assistant coaches to explain some of the terminology of the game. This week, Brian is in offensive line coach Paul Boudreau's pocket.
The offensive line's job on passing plays is protecting the quarterback. They do that by building a pocket around him. This week on Coach's Handbook, we're going to explain to you exactly what that means. And with us now to talk about the pocket is Saints offensive line coach Paul Boudreau. Coach, explain to me exactly what is a pocket.
All right, a pocket is different locations where the quarterback's going to throw from. You have a play-action pass where the quarterback might roll out off of a play fake to a running back. That pocket might be over the right tackle. You have a straight drop-back pocket, might be right behind the center. Our offensive line basically has to be firm inside. The inside three guys, the center, the two guards, they have to set the depth of the pocket. And our tackles have to set the width of the pocket. So the quarterback has a passing lane. He has vision downfield.
Coach, you hear a lot about a quarterback stepping up in the pocket. What exactly does that mean?
Well, we have an example of it right here on the screen. What we have is a quarterback can buy time in a lot of different ways. He can scramble. He can step up in a pocket. We'd rather have our guy back there where we know where he's at, 5 steps or 7 steps. In this example here, all my linemen are covered by a defensive lineman. So they're all on little islands. Okay, so they have no help. We have no slide protection. So Wade has to come back. The inside three have to set the depth of that pocket. Wade can't feel any pressure up the middle. And what we ask our tackles to do is to stretch and have a throwing lane. Right here you see Willie Roaf stretching his guy. We have our receiver coming underneath, and he's going to be critical because if he can get out free, he becomes a receiver. Now there's a passing lane for Wade. Now what happens here in this particular shot is Richard Cooper's guy doesn't rush. So now we have an extra hitter. So this is a big play for an offensive lineman. We have what we call boinking. All right, this guy here takes and knocks Green down. Chris Port, in turn, when he feels that happen, he comes down and he knocks down Mo Gardner. We got 2 defensive linemen on the ground and our quarterback's still standing. That's real important. Going back to the release of the receiver coming out of the backfield, we have to step up by time. Everybody's covered. He has no place to go. He feels a little pressure here from Willie Roaf's guy, steps up, and now that back who released down inside the offensive tackle in the beginning of play becomes the receiver, and he wasn't the primary guy.
Great. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. For the Coach's Handbook, I'm Brian Grenrud.
Well, we're going to take another break, but don't go away. Rickey Jackson is here next.
Coming up next on the Jim Mora Show, we'll profile the Saints music man.
Just stop by a participating Dodge dealer, register for the weekly drawings, and you could win a brand new Dodge truck. Take a test drive and get a Saint Station calendar free. Register now and watch all.
Woot, here we are. You're correct. The consensus around the league is that Saints linebacker Rickey Jackson is not getting older, he's getting better. And that's pretty special for an NFL football player. Rickey hasn't lost a step in his 13 seasons, and Sunday he stepped all over 49ers quarterback Steve Young. Please, if you will, welcome number 57, Rickey Jackson. The first thing, I have to know this. I have to know exactly where is the fountain of youth, because it's obvious you found it.
Well, you just have to thank God for that. That ain't nothing that I can control. You just got to stay in pretty good shape, and when the season come around, get in better shape. And just thank God for that.
Okay, the defense Sunday sacked Steve Young 6 times. He had only 15 yards rushing, did not make a big play on a scramble to hurt you. Other teams have not been able to stop that. How did the Saints do it?
Well, first of all, the coaches had us in the right game plan. I mean, players go out and play, but if the coaches put you in the right position, a lot of times it'll make it a lot easier for you. And I think you can see that with the guys like me and RT coming off the corner. Our job is easy because we're going against one guy. We beat that guy. I mean, we got home free to the quarterback. So coaches putting us in the right position and guys playing well. And you can tell when we make mistakes, they hit you with a big play. So as long as everybody doing it together, things will work out.
Let's look at your sacks from the game. On a couple of them, you just plain beat the guy blocking on you, like I said. On another, Vaughn Johnson forced Young into your arms and helped you out.
Yeah, right there on that play right there, I got real lucky on that. Vaughn missed him. Coach told us all week he was a ducker. And, man, he ducked Vaughn. He ducked me a couple of times. The guy very fast, so you don't want him to get out there running.
Right.
So long as he ducked you, somebody else is going to get him. He ducked me one time, and Reggie flattened him. So as long as you keep him ducking, somebody get him.
He did not duck enough, though. We had Ronaldo Turnbull on the show last week after the Lions game, and we played a comment from you, Rickey, after the game talking about Ronaldo playing so well, he didn't know what he was doing. Now, what exactly did that mean?
Well, last week, I made a comment about Ronaldo, but Ronaldo's a fun guy. I mean, he's out there, he's pumped up, and he's ready to play every down, and that's the key to it. And I have fun with him and kidding. And me and his relationship is real good out there, and I like to see him. I like the hustle that he have, and he makes me pick it up a little bit, too.
Beating the 49ers now 2 games up on them in the NFC West. Do you think this early in the season, does this mean the Saints have overtaken the 49ers as a team to beat in the division?
No, that's not true, because just like Coach said today, look back in '88, we had a 2-game lead and ended up being 10-6 and didn't make the playoff. I think that everybody going out there to take these games one step at a time, and that's the only way you can look at it. You can't look forward.
Right. All right, Rickey, we'll have more with you later, but for coming down, appearing on the show tonight, you'll receive a gift certificate from Oakland Heart Jewelers on Metairie Road. Time now for our snapshot. In the Superdome, the fans are kept in the game by the Saintsations, the cheerleaders, and the Music Man. Jim Gallagher introduces us to the man who keeps things hopping on Sunday afternoons.
You know, if you've been to a Saints game lately, you know the fans have been going crazy, and one big reason is the music that they're playing. Let me take you inside and show you where it all is put together. Let me introduce you to Mark Coudrain, the Superdome's Music Man. He's the man responsible for keeping the crowd on its feet and in the game. How do you decide to pick what music you're going to pick every week?
Well, perfectly it's chance. We get some Mardi Gras music. We knew that would always go over well. We've got a few things in here that Glenn Taylor, who's the guy who operates the audio board, we put a few things together during the week. And the Saints give me a lot of, things that they've heard while they're on the road.
New Orleans is known for its music, and the fans in the stands like it local.
People seem to respond to it, and it seems like they're playing more Louisiana music this year. And I think people are responding to that a lot more.
It's a little too loud. I don't like it.
Too loud?
Yeah.
What do you think about Hoot There It Is?
I like that one.
You like that?
Yeah.
We started at the first preseason game, and today it really picked up. Matter of fact, we can close the audio and hear the crowd. The crowd's doing it better than I can, actually.
Mark and his sound man, Glenn Taylor, keep the music flowing throughout the game, and timing is key.
The whole point was supposed to be to keep the crowd into the game. A lot of times, if you've watched national television, when they came back after commercial, the crowd was totally dead. And it's just, all I'm here to do is when the team does good, make the crowd go a little bit higher, keep the excitement going for as long as we can get, as much as we can get out of it.
For the Jim Mora Show, I'm Jim Gallagher.
I bet his copy of Woot, there it is pretty worn out by now. We have to get a new one. When we come back, we'll go back to the Grand Casino for more with Ron and Rich, and then take questions from our studio audience.
When we come back, Ron and guests talk to the coach from the Grand Casino in Gulfport.
We are back. Thank you. And it's time for more questions for Coach Jim Mora. And for that, let's go back to the Grand Casino, where Saints fans gather every week to watch the Jim Mora Show and maybe gamble a little bit. I don't know. But, Ron, what do you have?
Okay, we are back with some questions for the coach. First, your name and your question.
My name is Kevin Purcell, and I have a question for Coach Mora. If something were to happen to Derek Brown, what would the Saints do for depth at running back?
Well, we've got pretty good depth at running back. We've got Fred McAfee and Dalton Hilliard. Both those guys can play that position. Brad Mustard can play the position. Derek Ned can play the position. So any of our backs can play that spot. So I feel pretty good about our depth, though, even though we've already lost 2 backs for the season in Lorenzo Neal and Vaughn Dunbar.
All right, here's our second question. Sir, your name and your question.
Coach, my name is Chris Taylor from Long Beach, and I have a question about the defense. You ran nickel defense against San Francisco. Will you run the same defense for Los Angeles and Jim Everett? Will you play him the same way you did Steve Young?
Well, not exactly. We have a lot of our defenses that we'll play the same every week, but then we do make a few adjustments each week depending upon who we're playing. So there'll be a lot of similarities, but there will be some change-ups in our nickel and a package against the Rams depending upon what they like to do and what we feel we have to stop.
I even saw that 4-3 alignment with Rickey back there with the 3 linebackers. Very interesting. But I don't have a technical question for you, Coach. I want to know, when Mort Anderson kicked the winning field goal, did you go, "Hoot, there it is," or "Whoo, there it is"?
More like the second one, Ron.
All right. Well, we'll be back with some more questions here from the casino in Gulfport.
All right, Ron. Our studio audience now. They shall wait no longer. It is the Michael Hebert Armchair Quarterback segment. Questions from the audience, and let's start off with our first one tonight.
Hi, Coach. Ryan Dorr from New Orleans. Since the Saints are the only team in the National Football League with a record of 4 wins and 0 losses, does this place any added pressure on the team to win on a weekly basis? Why or why not?
Well, I don't think it does. You know, we try. Our goal is to go out and win, and we feel good that we're 4-0. I mean, that's what we've been trying to do. That's what we work hard for, is to win football games. So we've got off to a good start, and I think it just makes the team feel that, hey, we've got off to a good start. We got good things going for us. Let's keep working hard and keep it going.
Hi, Coach. Casey Delsperger from Kenner. Do you think San Francisco prepared so much for Ronaldo Turnbull that they failed to pick up on Rickey Jackson?
No way. There's not a team that we play that's going to not prepare very, very hard for Rickey Jackson. They've got to prepare for both Rickey and Ronaldo, and don't forget the 2 inside guys, Frank and Wayne and Les and Pig. Those guys, when they play in there, because they have a lot to do with our pass rush. They get a good inside push. Frank Warren got some great rushes in the game Sunday, and that helps out Rickey and Ronaldo when they come off the corner.
Hey, Coach. I'd like to know what you think about the rule that allows the quarterback to ground the ball when he's outside the pocket.
Well, I was not an advocate of that rule, and I recommended that we not vote for it, but we did vote for it, and we were one of the teams that did, and it did pass, and yet I haven't seen anything at this point that would lead me to believe that it's not a good rule. It's probably a pretty good rule overall, and I thought maybe it might hurt us because I didn't think our quarterbacks were as mobile as, say, a Steve Young or a Randall Cunningham, and I thought because we were a good pass rush team that it might hurt us too, so I didn't like it, but it certainly hasn't hurt our pass rush, and if it's going to protect the quarterbacks, then I guess it's probably a pretty good rule.
Hi, Coach Mora. My name is Leotha Gregoire. With the great support of the fan in the Superdome and the noise level and the impact of the noise, do you think that you will use a new strategy when playing away? Because I know the noise helped the players.
Helps the home team.
Help the home team great. And the opponents get very nervous with all the noise in the Superdome.
Right.
What strategy do you develop?
When we go away?
Yes.
To counteract that?
Yes.
Well, there's not much you can do. You just got to, you know, try not to let it affect you. And we have normally it's when we're on offense when we're away, and we have ways to snap the ball, and so everybody knows when the snap count is with a silent count or a foot snap, things like that to counteract that. You know, sometimes it even affects our guys though. When we get down into the red zone and we're close to the end zone where the fans are yelling a lot, it hurts our communication too. Rickey might be able to, you know, clue you in more on that, but.
Man, that's why you have to know your defense. If you don't know your defense, a lot of time the fan knows how to screw you up.
Yeah.
Hi, Chester Hank from West Virginia. Rickey, how many more years do you plan on playing football in New Orleans?
Well, I'm trying to get at least 2 more in. Stay in good shape and get 2 more in at least. I'll be satisfied with 15.
15 seasons. All right. That's all the time we have. It's now time to give away a new Benchcraft recliner. Person whose name comes out of this bowl will win that new chair from Michael Hebert's Furniture.
I'm going to let Rickey
All
out and read it. Read the name, Rick.
Austin Randolph.
Austin Randolph. There he is.
Read the question.
What are Saints' chances of going undefeated this year?
That's yours.
You want to answer too?
I looked at the schedule a couple of times, and I said that we got a great chance, but it haven't happened since, I think, 1971. So we the only one got a chance this year, and I think everybody over there are going to try their hardest. So I would put it probably a 25-75 chance.
All right. We'll see what happens. 16 games when it's all over. Rickey, thanks a lot for the question. Austin, enjoy the new Benchcraft recliner from Michael Hebert's Furniture. All right. We've got to take another break, but don't go away. We'll hear from some national sports figures next and what they think about the 4-0 Saints and head coach Jim Mora.
Coming up next on the Jim Mora Show, we'll talk via satellite to the Rams head coach, Chuck Knox.
Well, the 49ers, the team of the 80s, 4 Super Bowl championships, quarterback Joe Montana, and wide receiver Dwight Clark. You might remember Clark was the man who caught the pass, the famous pass to send the 49ers to a Super Bowl. On What I Say, Jim Gallagher talks Saints football with Clark and another national sports figure.
This week we caught up with a diverse group of national sports figures, starting with a former 49er great who became a national figure with just 1 catch.
With Dwight Clark, former San Francisco 49er, holder of probably the greatest catch in NFL history. Dwight, for you played against these guys for a long time, the New Orleans Saints. What are your thoughts? What are your memories?
I hated coming here. I mean, this is the, if not the toughest, one of the toughest places to play just because of the noise. The crowd gets into it. You know, it's always so tough against this defense here. Coach has them swarming all over you. I love the coach. I mean, he's straightforwardness is really appreciated. In this league, you hear a lot of that bull stuff, you know, people saying what they don't really mean, but Coach tells it just like it is, and it's a pleasure to see that there's a coach like that in the league.
Larry Weisman is a national writer for USA Today, and like Clark, he says the coach is a straight shooter.
He's not a
real verbal guy. He's not one for the long-winded kind of quote. But he tells you, I think, what you need to know. And it's kind of good to have that give and take where you got to fight with the guy a little bit.
You got to go after him a little bit.
That's what it is, you know, and he'll challenge you. Sometimes you're asking something he doesn't want to give it away, and you got to work for it. And, hey, we all got to work for a living.
You know it's a big game when CBS brings in John Madden and Pat Summerall to work the event. Over the years, Madden has worked with a lot of coaches, but he's got the ultimate respect for Jim Mora.
I think when you talk about coached teams, I think the Saints over the years have been as well a coached team as any team in the National Football League.
Very different coaching style from you, though. I mean, very quiet. You were really out there.
Yeah, but I mean that's not a coaching style. The coaching style is about the same. The personality is different. I mean, I'm John Madden. Jim Mora was Jim Mora, but the way we would do things. I mean, I always coached an aggressive defense. I always coached everyone to the ball. I wanted everyone go until the whistle blows, pursue all those things. And there's no one that pursues, gang tackles, hustles on defense more than the New Orleans Saints.
Now, Jim, midway through that story, you made a salute on the field. What was that about?
I got to tell you, Bill McPherson is the defensive coordinator of the 49ers. And Bill and I have known each other for years and years and years. We're good friends. And ever since he's been with the 49ers and I've been with the Saints, for some reason, I guess maybe because I was in the Marine Corps or something, which when we see each other at pregame warm-up, he kind of clicks his heels together, comes to attention, and gives me a salute, and I give him a salute. And that's what I was doing right out there when they caught it. Yeah.
Well, we salute you on the 4-0 record so far. This season, you have a chance to win tickets for you and your guests to a Saints away tailgate party at the Superdome. Here's what happens. The lucky winners get to watch Sunday's game with the Rams in a fully catered suite at the Superdome. It's all part of our contest we've got going in conjunction with your local Dodge dealer, Saints Digest, and WVUE Sports. The following winners get the suite treatment this week. Edna Kotaya from Harahan is in, Paul Page from Harvey, Peggy Burge from Slidell, and Clementine Sullivan from Mandeville. They, along with everyone who registered in this contest, has a chance to win a brand new Dodge Ram truck. All you have to do is go to any Dodge dealer in the New Orleans area and register with them. Let's start talking about next week and the Saints and Rams out in Anaheim. This is another one of those NFC rivalries, just like the 49ers and Falcons games. Jim, I know you're expecting another toughie.
Well, yeah, you know, I think the Rams are really improved. I think they're improved on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Their defense has got 17 sacks. You know, we think we got a lot of sacks, and we do with 19. They got 17 in 4 games. So they're a much better defensive team than they have been. And you know, Everett's the kind of guy, and we've seen it with the Saints. When he gets hot and he's got a hot day, I mean, he can riddle anybody, which he's done to us in the past. So if we hit a hot Jim Everett and that improved defense, and I think a better running game too with Bettis, you know, who we thought was a great back coming out, we're gonna play a very, very good football team at their stadium. So it's going to be a tough job.
Well, Everett had that hot day yesterday. The Rams coming off a win Sunday over Houston. Here's a look at that game and a conversation with Rams coach Chuck Knox. It's something we call Coach's Corner. Rams quarterback Jim Everett had a big day in the Astrodome. Everett threw for 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. His first touchdown of the day was to Flipper Anderson. His last was to Henry Ellert, who made the catch and somehow got away to make it 48 yards for the score. The Rams defense intercepted Warren Moon twice and sacked him 4 times. Rams win 28-13. They're now 2-2 on the year. Earlier, we talked with Rams coach Chuck Knox about the upcoming game against the Saints. Jim Everett, we saw some highlights of him against the Oilers. It looked like he played a very good game. How important is it going to be for him to play well against the Saints on Sunday?
Well, I think it's important every week for your quarterback to play well against every team, and Jim Everett had an outstanding game against Houston. He completed 19 out of 28 passes, 3 touchdowns, and he did so under some stress. They were coming at him in his face, and he still got the ball off, and that'll be real important this week against the Saints.
Yeah, Chuck, you can see the Saints, they got 6 sacks against the 49ers and Steve Young. That kind of pressure can really rattle a quarterback. Are you going to do anything different to try to stifle some of that pressure in Sunday's game?
Well, I think you always have to have something different. We have different launch points we can roll out with our quarterback, get him outside the pocket area. But still, you're going to have to execute downfield. The receiver's going to have to run the proper routes, and you're still going to have to do a good job of pass protecting. And certainly, if you can sack Steve Young 6 times, as mobile as he is, and he's usually pretty good about getting the ball off quickly. That's a big accomplishment for the Saint defense.
Chuck, the Saints game on Sunday, it's an important game. It's still early in the season, but at 2-2, if you were to beat the Saints, you'd only be down 1 to them in the division, but if you lose a game, you go down 3. I guess this is a very important game for you.
Well, I think the most important game of the year for any team is the game you're playing that particular week, and this is a big, big game for us, no question about it.
Chuck, what's your relationship with Jim Mora, and what do you think of this Saints-Rams rivalry that's grown over in the past few years?
Well, I think Jim Mora is an outstanding football coach. His record speaks for itself. I've known Jim a long time, and he's a great individual, and he's got a great family. But aside from that, this guy can coach football. He's done a great job there with his staff. They always play good, sound football, and they never beat themselves. They're not going to commit to turnovers. They're not going to do things that are going to give you a game. You're going to have to line up and play the game as hard as you can and as well as you can if you're going to have a chance to beat a Jim Mora coach team.
The Saints win over the 49ers. The Saints are now 4-0. Would you say, Chuck, that the power in the division has switched from San Francisco to New Orleans at this point?
Well, I think certainly that score there was close enough that that balance could go either way. But certainly the 49ers and the Saints are the two dominating teams in our division.
Rickey, you got Jim Everett coming in. You saw the hot day. He also has had some hot days against the Saints with Flipper Anderson in the Dome a few years ago. But he's also been pressured a lot by you guys, and he sometimes gets the happy feet. Can you attack Jim Everett and make him get nervous back there?
Well, the key going to be putting pressure on him. Any quarterback like that have a hot streak in the day. You don't want him to hit those receivers with a couple long balls to turn everything around. So you got to keep pressure on him.
All right, we will take one more break right now, but when we return, we'll go back out to the Grand Casino in Gulfport for Ron and Rich again.
When we return, final comments from the Grand Casino in Gulfport and a preview of tonight's Monday Night Football matchup.
Welcome back to the show. We've got time for another stop at the Grand Casino in Gulfport. Ron Swoboda and Rich Marty are there. Guys, can you hold up the Grand Buffet for a couple more minutes to get some questions in?
We're back at the Grand Casino, and the focus becomes the Rams next week. And we have a young lady here with a question. Your name?
Joanna Juneau from Gretna, Louisiana.
Your question?
Coach, after that big win over the 49ers yesterday, how do you intend to keep the team flying as high as they are now for the Rams game?
Well, this team does a good job at that. These guys are able to put the game they just played behind them and start thinking about the next game real well. And I think that's been one of the characteristics of the Saints, and that's why we've won a lot of games. And I think these guys will enjoy that 49er game for a few hours, and then they'll look at those Ram tapes on Wednesday and know that they've got to be ready to play a good game to beat the Rams on Sunday.
Coach, in an offense last week against the 49ers that is really high octane and really rolled up some numbers, most of them not on the scoreboard, you did a good job of targeting the quarterback. Talk about targeting Jim Everett against the Rams and how he's a different problem from Steve Young.
Well, as Rickey said earlier, Ron, it's important no matter who you play. If you're playing the quarterbacks in this league that can beat you real quick, it's important you get a pass rush. So, that's going to be one of our focuses, is to figure out ways to get heat on Everett, whether it's with a 4-man rush or different ways there, or 5-man rushes or 6-man rushes, and try to mix up our coverages so that we keep him confused as to what we're doing back there, and try to keep him off balance and stay a step ahead of him.
So he'll see the potpourri. Rich, you have
bet. I got one thing I've got to say, Rickey, you are the best. I had to say that before we went any further. Coach.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. I am glad that I'm not a coach and I'm not this week, because I think this is a dangerous week. We talked a little bit about emotion, getting these guys down. There is another small factor, and tell me how much it's affecting the team or could affect the team. You're going on natural turf for the first time in 4 games. Will you prepare any differently this week?
Rich, knowing you being an old player, I would think that you would know the answer to that. I mean, you wouldn't ask a question like, these guys practice every day on grass. They'd rather practice on grass. They'd rather play on grass. We practice on grass all week and play on the Dome on Sunday. It don't make any difference. You ought to know that.
Well, it's a slower game, and
can't believe that question, to be honest with you.
And I wish you the best of luck.
As smart as you
That's all
are.
the questions from the Grand Casino. Back
Okay.
to you. Thanks a lot, Coach, and thanks a lot, Ricky.
All right, Ron, Rich, we'll see you next week. Now, let's talk Monday Night Football. Jim, you said in the paper this game was a lock for Atlanta.
They asked me one day about a week and a half ago, and I said, Atlanta's a lock, you know. It's going to be a good game. I got a feeling that Atlanta's going to win the game. They're 0-3. It's a must-win for them. They got to be playing with a real sense of urgency. It's a Monday night game in their home dome. I think it's going to be tough on Pittsburgh. The only way I think here I'm sounding like Rich Motti, a big expert, you know, and I really don't know what I'm talking about. But I sound like all you sports guys, you know. Yeah. But I think if Pittsburgh can run the ball effectively on Atlanta, and some teams have, then I think it's going to be to Pittsburgh's advantage. But I just got a feeling Atlanta's going to win the game. That's all.
Let's go back to the Saints for a minute, Jim. Sam Mills, how is he doing? An update on the linebacker who's got the hurt knee.
Well, Ricky went down and saw Sam a few days ago. We were just talking about it earlier, and I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. He got out of the hospital today, and he should be at the practice field tomorrow. Now, he won't be practicing for a while, but he'll be out there tomorrow getting back with us, and it'll be good to have him back.
And, Ricky, back to you again on the Saints. You mentioned RT a bunch. I mean, he's really playing well. This is his first full season as an outside linebacker. Just comment on his play so far.
Well, I mean, with the long arms and rushing ability that he has, he's a threat every time he goes out there. And he's learning and he's getting better every week. And both of us, big arch rivals in college, you know, both of our teams is arch rivals, Pitt and West Virginia. So me and him been having a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we hope that continues on against the Rams. Ricky, thanks for coming down to the show. Jim, we will see you back here next week.
Okay.
That's it for this one. We'll see you back here next Monday night after the Rams game. Hope you'll see us then. Until then, good night, everybody.